Hello and welcome to HS Connect's webinar on holiday stress. Keep flares and your brain calm for the holidays. 'Tis the season to manage your mental wellness because you deserve it. Duh. All right, so hello, fellow warriors. We're going to talk about how to get through the holidays without losing our cool, especially since we know HS hates heat. So let's just avoid that altogether, shall we? All right, so we're going to go and do a little introduction. Who are we? Who am I? What's going on? How to avoid holiday stress. What to do if you can't avoid holiday stress. Building your own mental health toolkit, and I'm also just going to hype you up along the way and remind you why you should be empowered this season. So, shall we begin? All right, who are we? We are HS Connect. HS, if you don't know, if you're here, I assume you do know, but if you don't know, HS stands for hidradenitis suppurativa, which is a inflammatory skin condition. What our organization does, we are a non-profit patient advocacy organization, so we get to help people. We make resources, videos, podcasts, education. We do so many things, and we do all of that for free for people that have HS, for our patients that are so near and dear to our hearts, because we also have HS. So if you haven't heard of our community, it's a great community. We have tons of free stuff for you. So check us out and get to know who we are. And then, who am I? My name is Dr. Caitlin Baker. I am a doctor of clinical psychology. I graduated from the Illinois School of Professional Psychology in Chicago. I'm not going to say how long ago because we're not going to age ourselves here. I also have recently accepted the position of the Director of Mental Health for HS Connect, which means I get to put together tons and tons and tons of mental health resources for you. We have so much stuff coming up. It's so exciting. I cannot. So stay tuned for that because we have so much happening with HS Connect in terms of mental health and honestly in terms of everything. And no, I'm not trying to just hype us up. We are really doing some cool stuff. Okay, so I'm also an advocate. I'm an advocate for HS, for body positivity, for fat positivity, and then for mental health as well. And I hate this word with all of my heart, but unfortunately, I am often labeled as an influencer. You can find me as That Fat Doctor on TikTok and Instagram and honestly wherever else. And I post things to help people love themselves. That's what I do. That's my thing. So that is who we are. Are you ready to dive into some mental health stuff? Why the holidays are hard and why that's okay. Holiday triggers in general, these are just triggers for stress. For everyone, you might not have all of these, but you most likely have a majority. So some holiday triggers are too many parties, too little downtime, family issues, financial pressure, breaking your routines. Everything is just different during this season, and it's hard. It's hard for everyday people that don't have a chronic illness. So when you add HS into the mix, we get stressed, and typically that results in flares. Of course, not everybody's HS is the same, not everybody's triggers are the same, but for majority, we do see a lot of stress equating to flares. Also, feelings of being isolated. If you have a flare and you are not able to sit comfortably or stand comfortably and you can't go to the party, that sucks. That sucks. It hurts, and it makes you feel a lot of different things: isolation, guilt, embarrassment, resentment, name it, and you're probably going to feel it. HS food triggers add another level to this, right? So Everyone's triggers are totally different. There are some that are more common than others, but doesn't necessarily mean anything. So food triggers on top of the holidays, because when you're eating holiday food, you're typically not eating things that you would eat every day, right? Like holiday meals are special. They're typically, there's more sugar, more fat, just more in general. So be mindful of any food triggers that might make this season a little bit worse. We're going to talk about that more in a second. I also wanted to talk about the vicious cycle of being stressed and then getting flares, and then having flares and being stressed because you have flares. So this is a vicious cycle, and it just feeds into each other, on and on and on and on. So we want to reduce the stress in the first place, that is causing the flares, so then we don't have to stress about flares, right? So we're going to talk about some ways to break that cycle, or at least soften the impact of it. So let's talk about the mind-body roller coaster. We know that stress affects our mental health. That seems obvious, right? If things are very stressful, we are probably not thriving and living our best life. However, stress affects your body in so many different ways. Stress can increase inflammation, pain, fatigue, and it can decrease your immune system, your focus, your intestinal barrier, and your GI tract. One of the number one things that I ask people, clients, patients who have really, really bad anxiety and also really, really bad stomach issues is to ask if they've ever been placed on medication for anxiety. Because half of the time, that stress eats away at our gastrointestinal barrier, causing stomach issues. So stomach issues and anxiety, best friends. Something to be very mindful of when it comes to stress. And then in addition, skin, hair, and nail growth can decrease when we are stressed. Our body is not functioning as it should. It feels like there's a big pressure, a weight that's making everything way more intense. So what do we do now that we know it's okay to not be okay? It's okay that the holidays are stressful. And we know about triggers, and we know about what stress does for the body. Cool. What do we do with all of that? Well, let's get into it. Holiday survival crash course. What is a boundary? We're going to set boundaries this season, y'all. We are not letting people walk all over us. We are not letting people invade our space or make us feel any type of way, okay? We are setting boundaries. What is a boundary? A boundary can look like setting a certain parameter, rules around something that's important to you. So for example, a boundary may be don't ask me questions about my skin. And then the repercussion for that boundary, for the next part, how do I set a boundary? You would say, hi, I appreciate that you're concerned for me, but I need to set a boundary that if you ask about my skin today especially, or whatever the timeline may be, I am going to leave the party because that doesn't make it feel safe for me, or whatever that might look like for you in your situation. A boundary is basically saying, if you do this, I will do this. And then you have to hold it. You have to hold that boundary. Holding your own boundaries is really hard. Holding on to your no's is really hard. Saying them firmly, saying them proudly. No is a complete, full, grammatically correct sentence. No. And it's okay to say that to people. I can't even tell you I've had to learn this one myself. I love people pleasing. I love to make everyone around me happy, and I give until I got to the point where I had to say no because my mental health was dependent on it. So, no is one of the most powerful words and one of the most powerful tools that you can add to your little toolkit. Other things that we can do, so keep a routine, somewhat, right? Because that's hard, especially if you have neurodivergence or other mental health conditions in addition to the physical condition. So we're gonna try our best, and how we can do that is sticking to what works for you, what's worked in the past. When you go on vacation, how do you maintain your skincare? How do you maintain your sleeping habits? So what's important is consistency in our self-care. It's everything. Literally everything. If you wake up in the morning and you bandage and do your wound care, but over the holidays you spend the night at someone's house unexpectedly, and you don't have your stuff with you, so you don't do the wound care. And then you get home later and you go about your day because it's not in your routine to do your wound care past a certain time in the day. So chances are then you're not gonna do it until later that evening or whenever your routine says it next. We do not want that to happen. And again, this can be in a lot of different scenarios for a lot of different things. But what's most important is that you stick to self-care, you stick to what you know takes care of you. And you don't deviate. You don't let people let you deviate. With that being said, there's also a piece about this of leaving room for flexibility. What this looks like for me is if I create a routine, I typically will have two options of what can happen at every juncture. So we'll say I have to brush my teeth or do my skincare. If you kind of give yourself a choice of what to do first, it helps your brain become a little bit more flexible. And it also presents that there are multiple options at any time, which helps your brain adapt to flexibility. It's really hard to be flexible. I hate being flexible. There's nothing more than I hate than running errands and my partner will say, oh, I wanted to stop at this store too. My immediate response is that we didn't talk about that. That's not on our itinerary. No, that's not happening. And it's something that I've had to work on a lot in finding a balance between maintaining my boundaries and my self-care routines and also being a flexible person who can adjust to other people's needs. It's a fine line, but you can find it. You really can. Lastly, I want to talk about being prepared. So for the holidays, please take 10 minutes, build up some flare kits, put them in a Walmart bag if you have to. Build up a flare kit. We have them on HS Connect, at HS Connect on their website. We have some. If you don't have one and don't want to make one yourself, we are happy to help you out with that. But bring bandages, bring gauze, bring ointments and salves and whatever it is that you use in particular to manage your HS. I'm also going to tell you to keep a change of clothes in your car 24/7. Just do it. I promise. Just do it. It's not going to hurt anything. Put your favorite hoodie and sweats and an extra pair of underwear and an extra bra or whatever you got going on top. It'll help you in just knowing that it's there, but it also truly does help in case of a accidental flare eruption or honestly for my AFABs, that time of the month. It's just a good idea to always have it in your car regardless. I also recommend having a flare kit on your person, maybe with the minimal items that you might need. Keep one in your car, keep one in your room, keep one anywhere that you spend a lot of time, because putting accessible care in your face is what is going to get you to be consistent with your skincare, if that makes sense. Let's move on to part 2. So we're going to give you some tools now, some direct tools. So 4x4 breathing is a very common breathing technique that works for a lot of people. And it doesn't involve holding your breath or breathing out for long periods of time, which can cause some stress for some people. So I believe in 4x4 breathing, which is inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4. So it would look like and you just do that over and over and over again until you don't feel like your body needs that extra oxygen anymore, and you've calmed down and you're feeling better. Gratitude moments are also really important. So, and it's not in a toxic positivity way, because I know that it can get to that point, but sometimes we do have to look around and think of all the things that we do have, the things that we can accomplish, where we've come from. It is really important to address and kind of call out moments of gratitude. Your brain, it helps make a cognitive kind of switch in your thinking from I have HS and I hate everything and my life is miserable, and it absolutely might be. I'm not ever going to discount that from you. Honestly, if you have HS, yeah, it probably does. But we can also say, and I have an amazing support system, and I love my job and have the best boss. It's not a but, it's an and. And making that small switch is a big, big difference in the way that you think through things. Showing yourself kindness that you give others is also huge, 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 huge. I'll walk you through an example. Let's say that your HS bestie is having a really bad flare, but has a family party to go to later in the day. Your bestie's talking about they can't stand comfortably, they can't sit comfortably, they have other flares that are also draining at the same time, they feel fatigued, they feel just not good. What are you going to tell that friend? I'm going to guess the answer is stay home. You don't owe anyone anything. You don't need to go to that party if you're not feeling well. You don't have to put yourself through that to please others. What would you say if it was you, though? What if you woke up with a really bad flare? What if you woke up being so tired, the thought of getting out of bed just about breaks you? You have to give yourself the kindness that you would give others. Truly, it's the golden rule for a reason. Also, coordinate a safe space. So this can be a physical space, this can be a mental space. I personally like that phrase of go to your happy place. It's a real thing, right? So in your brain, if you create this kind of imagery of something that brings you peace, calm, serene. It could be a beach scene. It could be a cabin in the woods. You can kind of have this spot where you can go to feel comforted in your own mind. You can also have a physical safe space. So if you're going to a house or like a banquet hall, I don't know where people do holiday parties, pick a room. Pick a room that's going to be your safe room. One that has a lock on it, one that you can kind of get to inconspicuously, not to draw much attention, and know that that space is there for you when you need it. Even if you don't use it, just knowing that it's there is really helpful mentally. Let's keep going, shall we? So, comfy clothes. Those are your best friend. Period. We don't need the heels. We don't need the sequins. Oh my god, the sequins that rub under your armpits. No, sir, not for me. You will never catch me in no dang sequins. So we want you to be comfortable, comfort over everything. Comfy and cute is still very feasible. Also, short walks and gentle stretching in cold weather has huge benefits. When you step out into a cold environment or a drastic temperature change from where you are, it's a reset for your nervous system. And it feels amazing. I don't know if you've ever been in a bad mood and then took a step outside and when it's snowing and it's just like, it just kind of hits you. And it feels refreshing. So doing that, including gentle stretching, would be of benefit to escape the party too. In addition to the planned escape method, which is know your exits, know what your boundary is for when you've decided to leave. What does that look like? Is it after Grandpa Joe has had like his sixth beer? Is it after Grandma takes out her teeth? Like, what's your. I don't know why those are my examples. My family parties are wild, apparently. Um, have an escape method. It will help your brain to know, again, that you have an out, you have a plan, and also you know what you're looking for to be able to leave and get that comfort. So, very important. And then lastly, I'm going to say intentional nothingness. It's like my two favorite words combined. Intentional nothingness. Plan time to do nothing. I'm not kidding. Like, literally, get out your planner, look at your crazy holiday schedule, and put in there that you need downtime. If you don't schedule it, it's not going to happen. Intentional nothingness is productivity. We have to rest in order to have productivity. The chicken or the egg, rest comes before the productivity. I can dang promise guarantee it. Now we're going to talk about dealing with those family members. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, consider yourself blessed. If you do know what I'm talking about, let's get into it. So, how do we handle awkward questions, unwanted questions from family members? Let's just go through some examples. So, what's wrong with your skin? First off, excuse me? Second off, you are there for a party. You are there to enjoy yourself. You are there to mingle. You are there to avoid mingling and hang out with the dogs if that's more your vibe. But regardless, you are not there to educate people who are pointing out things about you that like you probably don't want pointed out at a party. Not the time or place. So I say keep it short. I have a skin disease. Cheers. Move on. You don't owe them an explanation, babe. You really don't. And now what do we do if Grandma Nancy, because we just told Grandma Nancy last week that we think that chocolate is causing flare-ups, right? So Grandma Nancy sees us going for a chocolate chip cookie because Mama's hungry and says, should you be eating that? I thought that you said chocolate causes flare-ups. I love Grandma Nancy to death, but we are just going to say, thanks, but I've got it handled. That's it. That's all. You don't owe an explanation. You don't. That's it. People do not have a right to ever police your food unless you have specifically asked them to. In this case, Grandma Nancy did not have permission. While she meant well, you can even, acknowledge, I know that you mean well by this, but I've got it handled. It doesn't have to be mean. It doesn't have to be snarky. But truly, it's nobody's business what you're doing, what you're eating. It's just not. Let's move on to one of my favorite parts of the holidays, making a season squad. So, this can be someone that you're actually going to see in person at the parties that you're going to. But I say arrange with a certain person or people that you feel safe with. Make a plan. Make a plan. Make a place to meet up when things go south at the party. Prepare. Have a friend who knows what your faces look like when you're in pain. Have a friend who knows what it looks like when you need to take a break. And lean on them to help you in that scenario, and you'll do the same for them when you're able. So that is one of my number one tricks. Number two is, if you don't have friends that are attending the party or family that's attending the party that you feel safe with, tell your friends to text you during the party, or to send memes or videos or whatever, or even call you to get you out of the room if you need to. But make plans ahead of time with friends to do this. And if you don't have any friends, come and check out HS Connect, because we have a huge community of people who understand what you're going through, who are also looking for friends. And we would love to help get you connected with some people. I know it's been a big game changer for me personally. So, lastly, be ready for the unexpected. With HS, literally anything can happen. Anything can explode. A sore, sometimes I swear, pops up like while I'm sitting in a meeting. I'll be like, oh, that's new. Anything can happen. Bring extra clothes. Be prepared. Have your escape plan. And lastly, if you are known to struggle with mental health problems, or even if you're not, honestly, get mental health resources together just in case of emergency. Let's say you are at a event and you experience a trigger and mental trigger, and you're just not okay. You're going to come home from that party and you're still not going to be okay, but you're going to be alone. That's usually not a good combo. So we want you to have resources available to you for emergencies or just in general. So let's talk about what some of those might look like. So we have 988, which is the suicide hotline. You can text 988 and someone will text back with you. It's anonymous. You don't have to give any information that you don't want, and you can just kind of talk generally about things, or even just have someone to talk to. HS Connect, that's us. We have lots of resources on our website, articles, things like that, with a ton more coming soon, which is why I have recently taken the director position. So we are going to be rolling out way more stuff, so stay tuned for that. We also, of course, have our Facebook and online support groups. I advise you to be careful regarding medical advice and people's quick fixes and all of that goes on in those groups. But please do lean into the emotional support side of those groups, because that can be extremely beneficial. So use those resources wisely. If you don't have a therapist, if you want to get into therapy, if you don't know what therapy is, a great place to start with those would be psychologytoday.com or mentalhealthmatch.com. They'll help you find a therapist who might fit really well with you and what you need. I recommend seeking out a chronic illness therapist that specializes in chronic illness, because they at least understand some part of what we have to manage every day. But if that's not your vibe, there are tons of other therapists out there who do all different kinds of things. So there is where you can find them. BetterHelp is an app website where you can actually go and get a therapist online. They'll help match you and do all of that. I am not a huge fan of resources such as this due to privacy concerns and some kinks that have not yet been worked out legislative wise, but I would much rather you have some therapy than none at all. So if BetterHelp is your best option, you do what you need to do. It's not going to hurt anything. Okay, also, apps. So there's this cute little app called Finch where you basically like hatch an egg and then raise this animal, and the way that you take care of this animal is by taking care of yourself. So you drink 8 ounces of water, you go on the app, you check off, you drink 8 ounces of water. That's going to give your little animal water as well. I love that app. It's free. It helps me so much to remember to do the small things. It sends little positive reminders throughout the day. It's fantastic. And then we also have apps like Calm and Headspace, which are meditation and based apps, soothable sounds, all of that kind of good stuff. And those two are paid, I believe. And then if it comes down to the absolute worst scenario, there's always your local emergency room who is there and prepared to help handle emotional distress, physical distress, both. Please use that resource if you are at that point. So let's start wrapping it up. Get it? Wrapping? Like gifts? Yeah, you got it? Okay. Okay, so what I want you to take with you today, I want you to take with you that it's okay to not be okay. Like, really, truly, 100%, it's okay. I promise. While you're upset, if you tell yourself it's not okay that you're upset, it's going to make you more upset versus leaning into, I'm having really strong emotions right now, and that's okay. And then you can just deal with the strong emotions rather than dealing with yourself beating yourself up for having the strong emotions. I also want you to take with you understanding of how stress can impact HS, which is huge. You should always be trying to reduce stress levels, regardless of HS or not. I also want you to have the knowledge of how to set and maintain your boundaries. That no is a full sentence. I want you to take away the fact, the absolute fact, that your mental health matters more than any holiday party ever could. Seriously. It's more important that you're okay than that you're present at a party. If that is the option that it comes down to, I sincerely hope that you will always choose you because you are worth it. I have a couple more here. So I hope that you also take with you coping skills that you can use on the fly, in advance, after an event. We've gone through a lot of them. If you need more, we will be giving out so much more coming up here. Lastly, I want you to take with you that community is everything and it's all around you, whether that's HS community, whether that is within your racial, cultural, like wherever you are in life, whatever communities that you are involved with, they're here and they want you to get more involved. So get plugged in and find your people. It helps ease the burden of dealing with this disease tenfold. Okay. So now that you've taken all that with you, I want you to leave some things here with me. I want you to leave behind any self-doubt. Doubt that you're not good enough, not pretty enough, not smart enough, not whatever enough. Because whoever you are is enough for you. It's just enough. You don't have to give into what other people think you should be based on their awful misconceptions. So you're just going to leave that with me. Leave it with me, babe. I'll take it. I'll hold it. I will throw it away because we are not doubting ourselves in 2025. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I also want you to leave with me some of your precipitory anxiety. What is that? It's anxiety leading up to the event of something, right? It's worrying about the party before the party is even there. It's worrying about, are people going to see my scars? Am I going to smell bad? Am I going to have a leak and it's going to go through my clothing? We can't control any of that. We can't. we don't know what's going to happen in the future. We can plan for it, right? We can plan for it. But the point of worrying over it, it just doesn't make sense. And that's why I think it's important to plan rather than have precipitory anxiety. When you plan, you reduce your anxiety. So let's say your plan is to bring an extra set of clothes. That takes away that one bit of anxiety. Do that for everything. That's a really big one. I also want you to leave with me your guilt. Guilt over maybe eating trigger foods that you feel you shouldn't. Guilt over having a disease that you can't control. Guilt over letting people down because of your disease, because of your mental illnesses, because of whatever it might be. You owe no one anything. You don't. And you can't help 99% of the things that you feel guilty about. So I'm going to have you, I'll take that. I'll take that from you. Just leave it here. Thanks. People pleasing is another big one. We don't do that anymore. We don't. It gets you nowhere. It gets you no benefits. It allows you to feel that other people matter more than you. And while that is a wonderful perspective to have in some scenarios, it's not in this scenario. We are living for ourselves. We are helping others when we can, but we are not living for the pleasure of others. You deserve more than that. You deserve to live for you and your pleasure in a not creepy way. Lastly, I want you to leave with me any questions that you might have. Questions about any of this, questions about anything mental health, questions about HS and mental health. Leave those with me, and I will gladly address and answer those for you. I'm going to tell you how you can do that in just a sec. So these are some ways to stay connected with us. You know what? Actually, no. Let's take a deep breath after that, because that is a lot and it was heavy. So let's just... I'm just really glad that you're here and that you're doing this with me. So how can you stay connected with us and keep doing this work and keep getting better and better and better mentally and physically and emotionally and all the things? You can find us at hsconnect.org or hsconnect on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever there is a social media, we are there. And then personally, I am Dr. Caitlin. You can find me at That Fat Doctor on any social media site. And my email is dr.caitlin@hsconnect.org. We would love to connect with you. We would love to help you get plugged into the community if you're not already. We make tons of free stuff for people. We do giveaways. We do all kinds of things. So please, please, please plug in, stay connected, and learn how a community can really help and support you. And with that, I wish all of you happy holidays, warriors. I hope that your flares are calm. I hope that you have a plethora of gifts of bandages and wound care. And I hope that you stay safe and loved and remember your worth throughout this season. From HS Connect, I am Dr. Caitlin Baker, and I love ya. Have a great holiday season.